Muchísimo Eugene, welcome to another video from Exit Strategy. This will be part two of what I was talking about earlier, and it may go on to 6 or 7 parts. I don't know. We'll find out where we end up at when it's all said and done. I think I was leaving off, or I ended, or I left off at, I reunited for a moment with my children in the community college. That was short lived. You know, that's a very strong narcissistic uh, thing there. When I look at it, the way, in my experience, this is just my experience. A lot of you women may have had the same experience by way of men, but with women, I have had that experience with both my first wife and the woman that I had my twins by. And I think it happens more and more than we think. And I know friends of mine, and I know a lot of men that have this issue. And that's child parent alienation. It's a real thing. A woman really feels like if she can't get her way with you, or she can't have you, you decide to do something different in life with someone different, just want to cut ties. A scorned woman is a very dangerous woman. She can have the best intentions, but when she is scorned with no sense of her own ethics and character, if she just gets outside of her character, she can be a very, diabolical person. So I've had this happen in each and every instance where the child parent alienation has played a factor. Hate or despise or dislike that man or that woman that you were involved with all you want. But a lot of these people are going to courts. They are maliciously scandalizing one or the other's name. They are very vindictive. And boy, don't I know about that vindictiveness. Still living it. But those two adult kids, you know, those are years I'll never get back with them. I spent 5 in prison. I was reunited with them when I got out. Went on for 2 years to try to cohabitate and live as a married man with my wife. I was a new man. But I now know, and I knew shortly thereafter once she ostracized me out of the house in her infidelity, that some people have their bets against you, because I had took her through this stuff for 3 years, or a course of 36 months, off and on, due to my alcoholism. So, for her not to believe, in essence, she didn't believe that I was going to be any different when I came out of prison. And I can understand her position on that too, because I had gone to the county jail numerous of times and got out and drank and did the same thing. But God had did something in my life that I could have never done, and the change was for real this time. I was skeptical to some degree because I was not in society yet, but I still walked and moved in a behavior. In a way that and behaved in a way that I thought the change that was necessary had to start while I was in prison. And lo and behold, I got out and I was off to the races. I had ideas of starting a landscaping business, and this is something that's classical with a narcissist as well. They won't believe in your dreams. They won't believe in everything that you believe in. You can sit down and you can show them verbatim on paper, in context. You can pull up the business plan, how this is going to work, the pros and the cons. You can talk subjectively and objectively about it, and they will still not give you not one iota of encouragement, their endorsement, or their moral support. This is why I'm backtracking to even my first wife. And you only have one life to live, empaths and chosen ones. And some may say, uh, certain things I'm not just going to talk about that, regarding this or that person, because they're not here to defend themselves. I live this. I know this. I stand on this. This is my belief. This is my opinion of this. And when I'm laid to rest, that'll be that. But while I'm yet breathing and I'm awake, I'm going to damn well tell society what I've experienced. And thereby someone, somewhere out there, won't have to deal with this in the way that I've dealt with it. You will be able to understand it sooner rather than later. And what you would do in understanding it, much like I have been able to do, but you may be able to do it sooner, is to live your life to the fullest, and you won't be distracted or dissuaded by these things that you can't put together. It took me time for these things to come to fruition, but I believe God allowed me to be outed out of that house. And I tell some of my acquaintances that I've entrusted this conversation to, that God took me out of that situation, and then He showed me what was going on behind the scenes, and He did that for us with the narcissist. Can you imagine walking in on the narcissist in the bed, in your bed, with another woman or another man? You know, the narcissist that I married, this third wife, she was having a man, if not different men, come in my house through my front door, and ultimately through my front door, which is downstairs at the time, because I occupied the whole house. I wasn't just living upstairs. I rented the whole house. So my front door comes in, and there's a hallway, and there's a door adjacent to my bedroom. That door was the entryway of where she was allowing men or man to come into my bedroom while I was at work. Imagine seeing these things, coming home from work or feeling ill, under the weather, and decide to leave work early and come home unannounced. And finding the narcissist in bed with probably another narcissist as well. It's happened in life. There are a lot of people are not here today to defend themselves and tell that story because they've been unalived. When you discover that, everything goes bad then. We can play scenarios all day long. It wouldn't be good, would not have been good. So that's what God did for you. He took you out of that situation because you would have been fighting the honor of a narcissist. You would have been hurting a narcissist. You would have unalived a narcissist, and more than likely you would have been looking at some jail time. And I now know God took me out of that situation with my first wife, whereas she got me ousted out of the marriage with a fake fictitious alleged assault that didn't happen. She did incur injury by way of the door, but it wasn't intentional. So that was the way she was able to leverage the assault like it was intentional. So I went to jail, and part of that deal, I went to the county jail, and part of that deal was I was supposed to take a 5-year restraining order stay away for all the charges to be dropped. Don't you find that ironic? If you, sir, agree and sign off that you'll stay away from your 2 beautiful children who you've been in prison away from for 5 years, if you decide or you agree to stay away from them for 5 years, 60 months, it's 5 or 7, I don't even remember, we will drop all charges, stay away from mother and children for 5 years. Don't contact them, don't go near them. If you see them, go the other way. And for a matter of 5 years, I didn't even see my children. I didn't even see the wife. When I say I didn't see them, I didn't see them in passing. I didn't see them in a car. I didn't see them in a store. I did not see them anywhere. In an area I live in and where they lived, you could drive in, it's like 15, 20 mile radius of everything, shops and stores and gas stations. But in the 5 years that I didn't see them, it wasn't that long after she had me put out and I signed off on that deal. Because I didn't want this charge of assault. I went through that with her before. And I didn't have that much of a choice. I could have pled not guilty, took it to trial, and I would have never inevitably lost because she did have a physical injury. Proving that it was unintentional would not have been the real issue. They had physical evidence, so I would have done some jail time, and I still would have been away from my kids. And at that point, I had to decide, the best I can do with this situation, salvage my freedom, find an apartment, live the best I can, and just do the best I can. I had to act almost as if my kids didn't exist, that I had to act as though I didn't have kids mentally. And I'm trying to show you this, guys, and I'm going to make parts of this because the reason why I'm showing you this is because prison, the isolation, that riot that never happened, I got put in the box, solitary confinement for upwards of a year. God was training me with stamina, spiritual stamina. Guys were eating their own feces to try to get out of solitary confinement. This is real. This happens. Some of the strongest guys you would see physically, the biggest guys you would see, would be the ones who are homosexuals that are doing things with other men, and then their girlfriend would come or their wife would come up to visit, and you would be in this room, all the inmates together. We get to partake of other guys and girls as other men's girlfriend and wives, and some of them have beautiful families, and you say, man, she didn't even know this guy is messing with a man in here. So back to point. I did not know God was isolating me with that year on solitary confinement in preparation, because He knew it was isolation that would strengthen me going forward. The courts isolated me by way of telling me to stay away from my children and my wife. That's a form of isolation. It wasn't self-isolation, but in that, I had to find an apartment, so it was just me living by myself. I would go to work, I got a job, go to work, and come home. I would drive around town, much like I live now. I would drive around because I was into landscaping, and I had this business, by the way, that landscaping part I told you. She didn't believe in that. I went on to start it, and 20-something years later, that is what I still do. I tell people I should have been a millionaire twice over, but I have a millionaire personality, so I guess that's enough for now. Money wouldn't be bad, but I'll get there by the grace of God. So that is a part of what I believe God was doing in my life. And I've told this story over and over again, but for the first time, I'm going to talk about it, in parts here. And one day I will put it in a manuscript, because looking back at my life, and people have encouraged me and say you should put that in a manuscript, because when I tell people just bits and pieces, not even the totality of what I'm going to probably be telling you guys, after 10 minutes of telling this story, people say, wow, that's a lot. And some of you have been through a lot. Some of you guys' story, hands down, I probably couldn't even hold a candle to it, but how much is too much? How much is a lot? God knows what you can bear. And so when I got out of that situation, I was able to see that this cop was sleeping with my wife. God showed me that. I got pulled over early hours of the morning. I was working at Lowe's, 7 in the evening to 4 in the morning. In shipping department, we unloaded trucks and we stocked the stores and the shelves during the night when the store was closed. 7 o'clock when I went in, the store was still open, but we would be in the back unloading the truck for a couple hours. 9 o'clock, the store would close. We would move the freight to the floor, much like Walmart does, in the same way. And I'd be getting off at 4 in the morning. And one particular morning, I remember I got pulled over by a cop. And that cop, ironically, was the same cop that arrested me for that fictitious assault that was accidental with her, with the door. He pulled me over. I didn't know it was him when he pulled me over. And I see that cop every so often now. I see him when I go down to the state or the county building. I see him, and I called his name out. Many years I called his name out, and I do from time to time now. Some would say, just let it roll, let it fly. It depends on how I feel. I mention his name because I have no fear of him. I have no, and he's a full blown narcissist. He's a full blown narcissist. One day I'll get deeper into that possibly if I'm interested in it, because I just think that's a story in itself about him. I mean, when you see the way he moved, very covert, very quiet. Some would say unassuming, but to the trained eye, you know he's a narcissist, full blown. But back to the point, pulled me over. Didn't know it was him in the car. I'm sitting in my vehicle for what seems like 5 whole minutes. I mean, 5 realistic minutes. Finally, I'm looking in the rearview mirror all the time, and he gets out. I still don't know it's him. It's 4 in the morning. It's still dark. Daylight hasn't even came up. So he approaches my window, and I'm already letting my window down. I got a practice of having my license in my hand when I'm pulled over. And I would encourage any of you men out there, especially men of color, minorities, who are always somehow either feeling disadvantaged, or you are getting treated a little less than you think respectfully. Get your license and your registrations out. Don't fidget in your glove compartment while they're approaching, by no means. When you pull over, if you don't have to reach down and make your body not visible again, if you can do it without looking suspicious. Let's say if you got somebody in the car, it's best to just keep that somewhere in reach. Maybe over your visor with with a rubber band over your visor. Just keep it there. And when they approach your window, already have that out. That's transparency. It works. It's worked for me for years. And I rarely get tickets. I've been pulled over for infractions, and I have been given a pass more than I even want to count. I mean, because of just how you present yourself, that can go a long way. I really wanted to interject that. But he pulled me over. He approaches my truck, and when he approaches, I have my window down, and I'm like this. I look out my window, and he's like, "Hey, Cal." He called my name. He called my name. And so I said, "What's up?" And he was like, at this point, I had surmised that what I had told you guys, that God began to show me that something didn't feel right. I didn't know all I knew about this part when I finally inevitably got ousted out of the house, because this arrest for the accidental assault with the door happened much later. Not that long. It was probably within 6 months of this time he pulled me over. But what I'm trying to show you guys, he pulled me over. We pulled up to the car. He walked up to the car, called my name, and I like, "What's up?" He's like, "Oh, your muffler was loud." And he gave me my license back. He didn't even go back to the car and run my stuff. He could have. I'm trying to think he didn't. Let's say he did. And so that's another 5 minutes. I'm waiting. I think he did. Yep, because he stalled me for 5 minutes in the beginning. So yeah, he went back, and I was waiting, just protocol. And at this point, I'm thinking it's protocol. He's running my stuff, which takes some 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes, maybe even 10, depends. They can take long as they want to, So he comes back my license. He's like, "All right, Cal, free to go." He tells me I'm free to go. I can probably remember vaguely saying, "Hey, you too. God bless you." And went on home to my family and my wife. I believe much later on, once I was ousted by my wife, which are stories within that too, leading up to her finally getting me out by way of that assault that accidentally happened by the door. Because she was steadfastly accusing me of different things. Well, let me keep going with him pulling me over. So I went home. Okay, let's do it this way. There were many times, even with that being pulled over, there were instances where I would come in the house on different occasions, and it was one instance I came in, I'd been mowing grass all day, getting prepared to just relax and enjoy being home with the kids and whatnot. and because I had to go to sleep a couple hours before I worked, because I think I was working at Walmart overnight. Well, actually, I was working at Lowe's when he pulled me over. But which one I had first? Lowe's, Walmart. And so I inevitably got the job. Well, I got the job at Walmart first. That's why I lost the job because of the accident with her. Then I inevitably got the job at Lowe's. So he pulled me over when I was working at, I don't know. But anyway, she would accuse me of like smelling like I'd been smoking marijuana. And I looked at her and say, I'm a grown ass man. I can smoke marijuana if I want to. I don't smoke no marijuana. Why would you be accusing me of something like that? And she knows I've never smoked marijuana. She smoked a little bit when I first met her in the '90s, and that's she did. But I've never, I tried it when I was in my teens, but she's never seen me smoke marijuana. I was just a drinker, and she knew that. And so later on, when she finally got me out of this house, and there were times when she would be getting in the shower, just accusing me of stuff. I'm going to do this, and if you doing that. And most often I would be out working and mowing lawns. So it was just her at me, trying to accuse me of something that just never made any sense. And I found myself trying to just, convince her and, defend myself. I didn't know that she was creating these accusations because she was trying to get rid of me. Because she had already been sleeping with this cop. And so that finally happened. And that's when God began to show me everything that I had missed, because I was authentically trying to live a life with my wife that was, I thought, held me down. All while I was locked up, she was down for me. She was ride and die. And that was noteworthy. I said, man, if she stuck me that long, I'm going to be the best man that I can be for her. So she had a whole new, brand new husband. A husband that she probably never even had known ever in our marriage. Because she met me, we met in the club. It was never a day she saw me sober. This is the first time I've been sober. And here we are, 7 years later, 8 years later, she has a brand new husband. And she was doing everything she could to sabotage it because she had already began to have infidelity behind my back. And I think when I was in prison, she might have gotten involved with this guy. Because on the side, he coached the elementary school that my son, or the high school, and went up the ranks of high school. He was like volunteer coach. So he was mentoring my son, unbeknownst to me. And this was all to put him in a position where he could obviously warm up to the mothers, because a lot of mothers in that have little boys in sports right now, they are most often single mothers, unfortunately. And if they have a husband, he's absent. You have the women bringing the sons to football practice and picking them up, and often they are the ones who are attending their games. Men, we can do better. I'm going to break this up. That being said, bless.